Hands up!
Hands up! Hands up! He pulled the door open. He just started shooting in the inside.
The scene is already in complete chaos, but the worst is yet to come. A deadly shooting is about to unfold.
No! Back up! Move back! Back up! You back up?
I don't find that trophy.
In seconds, shots rang out. People hit the floor, and just like that, the killer disappeared into the night.
Where's the shooter at?
We don't know. The shooter is out there.
As investigators scramble to piece together the puzzle, a shocking truth begins to emerge.
Grabbed the door and I pulled the door closed. I just felt a big yank on the door. As soon as he yanked it, everybody it was like, oh my God, you just seen an arm come through with the gray hoodie on. He just went like this, boom, 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 boom.
The deeper they dig, the more secrets they uncover.
I went back in the club after I heard them shots. I pulled my gun out.
On December 29th, 2018, when the Ohio police reached Club 904 on Main Street in Lima, Ohio, they had no idea that the alarming nature of the incident was even worse than they could have anticipated.
He pulled the door open. He just started shooting in the inside.
With multiple lives at stake, the officers had their guns drawn, ready for potential confrontation. Their priority was to save everyone they could. The people inside were already horrified, and the officers still didn't know exactly what had happened. But the strong smell of gunpowder filled the air, and the sound of screaming kept getting louder and louder.
Hands up!
Hands up! Hands up!
Who's shot here?
He's shot right here. Back up! No! Back up! Move back!
As people ran for their lives, it became clear that there wasn't just one victim. Multiple people had been shot and injured. The situation was becoming more urgent by the second, and officers had no idea if the shooter was still inside, waiting for the right moment to strike again.
Go out! Move! Go! Everybody out! Head! We got clear! Show the head! Where's the shooter at?
We don't know. The shooter is out there.
And back here.
Hey, they got rooms back here. We're good. I get you. Just sit tight. There's blood in here, man.
No way to leave.
No, everybody's got to stay.
Just as late.
Where you at, man?
Right here, down here.
Okay.
Down here.
All right. Sarge, can you watch my back while I check in real quick?
Once the officers were sure that the shooter had already left the scene, they focused on helping the victims. Their main priority was to get medical aid as soon as possible to those who had been injured during the whole incident.
This leg? Where at?
Like up towards your thigh.
Okay. They're not too bad, okay? Hang tight, okay?
Unfortunately, just 20 to 30 feet from the front door, they found a victim lying motionless on the ground, riddled with gunshots. The officers quickly checked for any signs of life, but it was too late. The victim had already succumbed to the injuries before help had even arrived. As they began piecing together the events, a shocking realization struck them. They knew exactly who the victim was.
Is it Anthony Bankston?
25-year-old Anthony Bankston, with an entrepreneurial spirit, had just started investing in real estate a few weeks earlier. That night, he'd only come to the club to have a good time, but what was supposed to be a fun night had turned into a nightmare, not just for him, but for everyone caught in the chaos.
Oh, I'm gonna step out of the blood. I didn't even notice there's blood everywhere.
He had no idea that Anthony was the intended target or not. He may have been collateral damage because of the shooting was intended for somebody else, and he possibly got in the way.
Oh, I think he got him in the back. I think he was running in, trying to. Yeah, I shot him in the back.
Eventually, as things started to calm down, the officers knew it was time to start looking for answers. They began by questioning people at the scene about what they'd witnessed right before the shooting, or if they knew who had started it, to figure out what could have been the reason behind this tragic incident.
Did any of you see anything?
It's on Facebook Live.
Okay, can I get the purse out the car? My house keys in her car.
I understand that.
Can I get the keys out the car?
It's a bit chaotic right now. You're just gonna have to wait.
But their sense of control didn't last long. Just when they thought the situation was finally settling down, everything took a turn for the worst. Tensions flared up again, and the crowd grew even more aggressive.
Come on. Start running tape. Yes, sir.
Even gathering the evidence became a real challenge for the officers. Just as they were trying to secure the scene, what happened next was what they hadn't expected. People started pushing past the police line. The crowd was getting harder to handle, making it even more difficult for them to do their job.
Back up! Back up! Back up! You back up? Go under arrest. Come on. Come on.
Yeah. I don't find that on me.
All right, have a seat.
Why not? Ho?
Goodbye.
Get out of the car.
Get out
of the car. Because it's part of the crime scene now.
What?
Out of the car. Move. Out of the car now. Out of the car.
What?
No, it's part of the crime scene.
How?
Out of the car. You have to see the tape going over it?
The more detectives tried to gather information, the bigger and more chaotic the crowd became.
Back up! Back up! Come back! Shit. When you get a chance, start a crime scene, okay? Just hit the scene off. I'm good. That'd be good. Just relax, breathe. Take a breath, all right?
The officers had countless questions running through their minds. Who was that shooter? What was the motive behind this mass shooting? Being determined to find the answers, they called in the entire detective division to assist with the investigation. They locked down an area stretching about a block and a half in every direction, searching every inch carefully, making sure not even a single clue was overlooked. And then, just when they least expected it, they found their first lead.
Near the victim, one of the uniformed officers did locate a .40 caliber firearm with the slide lock back on it. And there were bullet casings laying inside the bar and outside the bar that matched that caliber of weapon. That gun was ultimately taken into custody and entered into evidence.
You got a bullet right there. You see it?
Inside the club, officers discovered several shell casings, but they weren't all from a .40 caliber gun. This meant that two different weapons had been used in the shooting. Was it just one person using two guns, or were there multiple shooters aiming at different targets? With every new clue, the mystery only grew deeper, and once again, the officers turned back to the remaining witnesses to know if they had anything to share.
What happened?
I seen a gray car. The dude jumped out the black Charger. He had on a gray hoodie with some gray pants on, and all I seen was something black. I said, "Oh, Joy, he got a gun." As soon as I went with the dude, they came inside, like just in the doorway. Everybody started. The dude swung the door open. He just put the gun in the building and just started shooting.
So they shot inside the building?
He opened the door and started shooting.
Okay.
According to the witnesses, they'd seen a dark-colored Dodge Charger with the dealership license plate fleeing from the scene. The car was registered to an address in Columbus, Ohio, about 90 miles from Lima, which raised even more questions. Had the person traveled all this way just to kill Anthony? Or was there something even darker behind the story? The officers began searching the neighborhood for any surveillance cameras that might have captured the shooter arriving or leaving the scene, or maybe the car he used. They checked nearly every business and home nearby, but since the shooting happened during the early morning hours, finding clear evidence wasn't easy. So they turned their focus back to the witnesses at the scene, trying to gather any valuable information while also building trust with them. One by one, witnesses were asked to come to the police station for interviews. One of the first people they spoke to was a woman who had been working at the front door of the club that night.
I understand you at the door. I'll be at the door, but the night it was like the party was over. Everything was done. Like the birthday person that rented it was gone. Who rented it? I was just down there trying to ask. I can't think of the girl name, but I know her last name is I want to say Johnson.
You know anybody that she was with?
No.
The woman didn't know the victim personally, but one thought immediately crossed her mind. Could the birthday girl have been involved in the murder? It was just a suspicion, but it raised more doubts. The officers still had no idea if there was any connection between her and the shooter.
Then I look over again, I see a person. He about my height, he about a little bit lighter than me, and then I just seen something black. So I was like, oh my God, and I grabbed the door and I pulled the door closed. When I pulled the door closed, I just felt a big yank on the door. As soon as he yanked it, everybody it was like, oh my God, you just seen an arm come through with the gray hoodie on. You seen the arm, he just went like this, boom, 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 like this. The crowd, everybody started screaming and just ran to the door.
With things still not clear, the woman shared something else with the investigators. Her niece had also been at the club that night. She had a strong feeling that her niece might have seen what happened, and she urged the investigators to speak with her, believing she could provide some vital information they needed.
All right, well, I'll get you back downstairs.
I will, if I remember anything, I'm gonna call you. I promise you I am. I promise that is a shame. And I promised this auntie that I was gonna make sure.
It turned out that the niece was already at the police station, as she'd been arrested at the scene for disorderly conduct.
I can't go to jail.
Hey, come on. Come on.
Bro.
Go, hey, sit over there in that corner, please.
The niece told the investigator that she'd entered the club with her uncle, and shortly after, he was shot. Her main concern at the time was only about his injuries, which was why she wasn't too focused on anything else. To ease her mind, the investigator called the hospital to check on her uncle's condition and learned that he'd only been grazed by a bullet and was completely safe. With this reassurance, the niece could now focus on sharing any details she remembered to help with the investigation. But getting information from her wouldn't be as easy as it seemed.
Is my uncle okay?
As far as I know, he is. Okay? I mean, he's at the hospital, but, I mean, overall, he should be all right.
Listen to me. I need to know what happened tonight. Right now.
I walked out there after an hour, and next thing you know, I'm looking at my uncle on the ground. I'm looking at my uncle keep on the ground.
Okay. Were you inside when this happened?
When I was inside, I heard shots. I heard shots. I'm not gonna lie. I heard shots.
How many did you hear?
Like 3, 4, 5. My uncle landed on the ground like.
Since the niece was intoxicated, she wasn't cooperating or giving the investigators the critical information that could take the case forward. However, she did reveal one unexpected detail. Her uncle had given her some drugs to hide on her body.
He told me that he told me to hold something for him. I don't even got it no more. I got it no more. I feel y'all go check in the holding cell or something. I don't even got it no more. I don't. He told me to hold something. It was a plastic bag, and he told me just hold it for him. And I don't know if it was drug, crack, heroin, whatever, but he told me to hold something for him. So.
Okay.
Could the drugs have been the reason for the murder? The only thing she remembered was that during the chaos, she lost the drugs. So with no leads from her, the officers had little to go on.
Did you see who was shooting?
I did.
Since the niece proved to be of no help, they decided to move on and question other people who had been at the scene that night. At this point, the only witness they had was her uncle. With drugs now in the picture, their focus shifted beyond just the murder to uncover the true motive behind the crime.
Most of the homicides that happened in my career was because of drugs, the trafficking, or somebody was stealing drugs off of somebody else and it turned out to be a robbery homicide. And so we knew we needed to speak with him.
By that time, the uncle had obtained complete medical care and was finally called in for an interview.
Okay. What was going on when you were there?
Well, when we got there, everything was just going smooth. Just a nice little party. People drinking, people eating, music playing. I don't know about what time it was, but it seemed like an altercation in the front. It was like a scuffle or something, but it stops real quick.
Could you tell who it was between?
No, I just seen a whole bunch of people.
Okay.
Yeah. Next thing you know, when the door opened up, some shots came.
Did you see who it was?
No, I just seen it. I knew that there were shots coming in because you just about see the fire coming from the gun.
When you say shots coming in, was the person inside the bar or
outside?
They were outside?
Outside.
As far as the uncle recollected about that night, there was a clash in the bar between a group of people, one of them being Anthony. Though it wasn't clear what the fuss was all about, a few minutes into the argument, someone from outside the bar fired multiple gunshots at Anthony.
I have a cousin in there. His name is Anthony Bankston. When I grabbed the back of his coat to pull him, he looked me dead in my eye. He looked me in my eye, because he listened to me most of the time. He looked me in my eye, I pulled him back, I got shot.
Well, we're still putting some stuff together. When you have situations like that, there's, how many people do you think were there that night?
Over 50.
Unfortunately, the uncle could neither provide any specifics about the shooter, nor did he have any information related to the drugs. But that wasn't what detectives were concerned about. Having no leads about the shooter from any of the witnesses made this case come to a standstill. That was until a woman walked into the sheriff's office and revealed something that would break the case open.
The next day, the aunt of Anthony Bankston had come forward to be interviewed. She was down there at the bar that night at the time of this shooting, and it was very hard to get information from her because of her state.
Sit down. You okay?
Given her mental state, detectives knew that they couldn't push her to reveal what they wanted to hear, but the fact that she arrived on her own was a glimmer of hope for them.
Where were you when all this started?
Well, when it all escalated, I had just got up in there. And I guess they was arguing.
Who was arguing?
George and my nephew, Anthony.
George was a new name for the police. Before that, his name hadn't been involved with any crimes. To understand this new suspect better, the detective tried to gather more information about the man in question. But instead, detectives would realize something more disturbing about George's relationship with Anthony.
Is he young?
He's older.
He's older?
Probably about my age. And
White or black dude?
He's a black dude. It was just a group of people gathered. And I was trying to figure out, because I see my nephew throw his hands up, and I start hearing my cousins and my niece and them say, "No, Anthony, don't." Or some, and other people was calling him Fat Man.
Who's calling who Fat Man?
My nephew, his name is Anthony Bankston.
Right.
His nickname is Fat Man.
Okay. What did Anthony tell you was going on?
So he said, I said, just tell me what's going on. He said that dude George came to him and said, "You shot me." And my nephew said, "I don't even know you, I didn't shoot you."
It all began to make sense now. The fact that George and Anthony had been involved in a fight during Thanksgiving was not only concerning, but also clarified the killer's possible motive. At that time, Anthony had reportedly shot at George, which might have led him to gun him down during the party. This was a big revelation, as it could lead them to the right killer.
Anthony Bankston's aunt has in past been friendly to law enforcement, and she is believed to be a very credible individual.
You know me, I know you. Okay, we need to find out. Okay?
I don't cause no trouble.
Since George's name wasn't associated with any criminal past, detectives had to do their research to find him. Finally, they were able to locate him at the local hospital where he was being treated for the gunshot wounds that he'd survived at the bar shooting. The detective quickly contacted him and checked if he was fit enough to be interrogated and called him in for the interview.
George gave us the clothing that he was wearing that particular night.
Is there any blood? I mean, is that part of a bullet hole?
Yeah.
So it went this way?
I guess so.
In the interview with George, he did admit that he had a physical altercation inside the after-hours joint that night with Anthony.
Just run through again, kind of what happened. I was kind of tired last night.
Alright. I was mad about that fight that happened on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And that's what came to Fat Man about the fight.
Okay.
Fat Man got mad about that because Fat Man and somebody else, I guess, had fought his people. Fat Man was on his way to the front. So the fight is basically getting pushed forward towards the door. Mm-hmm. The more the fight getting towards the door, the front door got opened.
Okay.
the story took a complete turn from what the detectives had anticipated. They realized that George wasn't the only one who shot Anthony. Instead, there was another African-American man from outside the bar who fired at him. This led to the theory of George killing Anthony and avenging the night of Thanksgiving being debunked.
Rasheen started shooting. But it was a person at the door, though, that started shooting first, and then Rasheen started shooting.
Okay. So
one outside, one inside.
Okay.
Analyzing the bullet shell casings that they'd found at the crime scene, police had already suspected 2 shooters were involved in the crime. This theory was confirmed when George gave another name to the detectives. As per him, Rasheen was also inside the bar at the time of the shooting.
The interview with George was productive, and we believe that George might have had some disagreements with Anthony, but he was not the person that did the shooting.
You remember who he was shooting at?
I was trying to get out the way. Okay. And trying to get away because I'm fearing for my life.
Okay.
We need to follow up on both pieces of information on those 2 shooters to find out if they acted together or if it was 2 different individuals shooting for 2 different reasons. There was still mystery to this whole situation.
Rasheen had an extensive criminal history and was a name known in the world of crimes. There was a possibility that he too was directly involved in Anthony's murder.
Detectives set about trying to locate him, finally discovered the place where he had been staying for a number of days, and did go to that location, did make an arrest without incident.
I can have you with money out here. Oh, okay, bro. I was thinking it was close to 30. Where's on? Can I know what I'm being arrested for, please?
Like you said, man.
Officer, that's... please. Before I start acting a fool, man. Good, man.
You can take care, man. Like I said.
Being the prime suspect in Anthony's murder, detectives grilled him to speak out the truth. At this point, officers confirmed that Rasheen had fired at Anthony, but did he kill him? It was a matter of question.
What's going on, man? Said you wanted something to smoke?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
We did inform Rashawn that he was the number 1 suspect at this point.
Here's the deal. An eyewitness put the gun in your hand, said you were shooting inside, and that's how we got to the spot we're in now. You know what I'm saying? So
it's not true. On my kids, that's not true, sir. I wasn't even in the club when the shots was being fired.
And here's the thing: I don't want somebody going down for something they didn't do. So
that's what I keep trying.
This isn't an open and shut case. I'm not. Just because you're in custody doesn't mean things stop. And we got our guy, and this is where things are going to go. Okay.
At first, Rasheen refused to even accept that he was present at the party, and then continued with several baseless stories that were eventually debunked by the police.
The investigators had enough information that they could counteract the lies that he was telling.
Tell me what you do know that. Because this is, or if you didn't have a gun in your hand and if that witness was mistaken, you need to be 100% straightforward and honest no matter how much you think it hurts and it sucks. Now's the time to do that. Alright.
Man, when I went back in the club after I heard them shots, I pulled my gun out. I went back in the club with my gun because I didn't know what was going on. So they did probably see me with my gun, but shoot no gun, man.
Why not tell me that from the beginning?
Rasheen had finally started to speak. Seeking the right opportunity, detectives started to press him hard. At this point, the only way for Rasheen to get out of this situation was to reveal the complete truth.
We put it right to him. Everything you're telling us now is what we knew before. Why should we believe you? The only way to get out of this hole that you've dug yourself is to give us the other shooter.
I ain't shooting no, hey, look, I ain't got no reason to lie. I ain't shooting that club.
What kind of gun did you have?
I had a little revolver.
After multiple failed attempts to misguide the police during the investigation, Rasheen revealed a name familiar to the police. The killer was apparently Monte McNeil, a 24-year-old criminal widely known in the world of crime for his several notorious activities. Hearing this name made officers wonder if it was the same person they knew, and to confirm their suspicion, they kept asking for his complete description.
Describe him to me. Like, what is... I know who Monte is, but tell me about him. Like, what's he look like? Height-wise, weight-wise, hair-wise, facial hair, glasses, everything.
He got no hair. He got like a cut.
Like, what are you talking? Like, you talking like as short as mine? Shorter? A little bit longer?
It's just like cut on the side.
Just cut on the sides? What about facial hair?
Since 2 shooters were involved, it was hard to determine whether what Rashane had confessed had any truth to it or not. The way Rashane had tried to deceive officers in the interview before, it might be possible that he was trying to shift the blame to the other shooter to escape from his misdeeds. While officers were still unclear about Rashane's story and his involvement in the case, they had no choice but to release him until they found their next breakthrough. However, it wouldn't be long before they uncovered a crucial lead that would blow the case wide open.
At this point, officers had collected some more camera footage from a camera around the corner from the crime scene.
Hours of this footage was searched, and we finally struck gold. Jamonte is seen on video wearing a dark hoodie, buying liquor at a convenience store just around the corner right before the shooting.
The CCTV camera found at the convenience store was not only proof that Jamonte was present during the crime scene at the time of the murder, it also strengthened the confession made about him. This was the moment when detectives started to believe that Jamonte might be the actual killer. Their next mission was to track him down and question him about the murder, no matter where he was hiding.
We had narrowed our suspect to Jamonte and learned that he was from the Columbus, Ohio area, and he in fact was on probation for an unrelated crime to what happened in Lima.
As soon as the detectives found Jamonte's residence location in Columbus, Ohio, the Lima Police Department made contact with the police department in Columbus to locate him. Luckily, Jamonte was found and immediately arrested on a warrant issued by Lima police.
Hey, Demonte, we never met before. I want to know what your Miranda rights are.
Yeah.
All right. So you understand that I don't really have any questions for you, but just to cover our bases, all right? You have the right to remain silent.
The detectives went to Columbus, brought Jamonte back to Lima.
Again or not?
Yeah.
Considering his phone went off minutes after the shooting, the first thing detectives did was examine his phone and check for any potential evidence that he might be hiding inside it. They also made sure to get his DNA tested to get solid physical evidence against him.
So even if somebody's DNA is already in the system, they want a new standard. So I can say for 100% fact, without any doubt, I'm the one who collected it from you on today's date. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. All it is just, I don't know how they do it over there. It's just a swab on the inside of the cheek and that's it. How long have you had that phone?
Oh, shit.
Okay. Where did you get that phone at?
Bro, my friend.
Okay.
I was staying with him.
But you've had it for about a month though?
Yeah.
Okay. You have any problem if I take that out there and dump it? Is that all right with you? Okay.
Jamonte was their only and last resort to solve this case, so they needed to confront him directly about Anthony's murder. Till now, he was on probation for some unrelated case and had stayed away from any wrongful acts until his name popped up again in Anthony's case.
The only thing I'm investigating or the only thing I'm interested in is just what happened down there to Pavian. So that's it. When I talked to your probation officer, you had been showing up without any problems until December, until Fat Man was killed. You'd been showing up, no missed appointments, no nothing. Then you just fell off the face of the earth after Fat Man was killed. What kind of drugs are you doing?
Weed. Percocet.
Not only was his body language unusual, but his claims of being in Chicago doing drugs were utterly baseless. The CCTV footage from the store clearly showed Jamonte at the crime scene purchasing a bottle of liquor, indicating that he'd been lying about his whereabouts to get away from the crime. With no other suspects in the case, the officer understood he needed to confront him aggressively to make him confess the truth.
And the detective kept pressing him on this. No, Jamonte, you were in the city of Lima. We have video footage of you being in Lima on the particular day, just hours prior to this homicide. In fact, you were buying alcohol at the convenience store.
Just coming up with whatever you can to try to make it seem like you weren't there, which is where the Chicago thing came from and all that stuff, until I show you what we have. And then there ain't no denying it. You know what I'm saying? If there ain't nothing to hide, why come up with stories like that? So that's what I'm saying. After those shots were fired inside, you were already back going across the street to where you guys were parked at. You came back after Fat Man was still up and walking when you finished them all. That makes me believe that you went down there with a purpose. If you didn't go down there with that purpose, with that intent, with the planning to do just that, then what was it? Because looking at that evidence, how can you think anything else?
During the whole interrogation, Monte remained quiet, knowing that a single word uttered from his mouth would land him into trouble. In hopes of getting the slightest reaction from Monte, the detective decided to show him the footage that they'd found at the convenience store.
6, 7, 8 at least firing those last shots. So those witness statements combined with that, that's pretty damning evidence.
You could tell by Jamonte's body language that he was somewhat regretful. He kept his hands grasped like he was praying. Those are always signs of stress, but I don't think at this point our Savior is going to help him out much. He's got to come off of the story, and he just keeps telling the detective that he wasn't involved in this.
You got anything else for me, man?
Despite all efforts made by detectives to get him to confess the truth, they couldn't get any information from him.
Even with confession from Monte, we built such a good case with witnesses, with physical evidence. There was no person of any reasonable intelligence that would not have said Monte, not Rashawn, that killed Anthony Bankston.
The case presented by the Lima Police Department was so strong that Monte refused to take up the jury trial, but offered a plea.
Monte was charged with involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, and received a 14-year sentence for the shooting of Anthony Bankston. Rashawn finally pled guilty to discharging a firearm in a prohibited premises and received a 4-year sentence.
As for Anthony's family, they hadn't even begun to mourn his death when they were struck with another painful shock. During the investigation, detectives discovered that Monte had mistakenly identified Anthony as a man they'd fought with on Thanksgiving. A misunderstanding of mistaken identity took the life of an innocent man, leaving a lifelong scar on his loved ones' hearts.
My brother, he always wanted the best for me. When I got my GED, my brother was the happiest for me. I felt like I wanted to do more for myself, so I went to college again after I had dropped out. After he passed, I re-enrolled, and I graduated yesterday, and I felt like he would have been the proudest for me.
Anthony's friends and family were left to mourn his death as they bid him a final goodbye.
My brother died like 3 days before my birthday, and honestly, I forgot how old I was for a little while. Just brain going crazy. I was depressed for a couple months, just sitting around, honestly drinking my life away, and snapped out of it. I signed up for school again. I feel like that really kept me with a level-headed mind. It got to trying to better myself.
Although Monte received punishment for his actions, Anthony's family still feels helpless about their tragic loss.
कैसे हैं जनाब, कैसे हैं? अरे यार बाल बड़े अजीब से निकले हैं। चलो थोड़ी सी इधर वीडियो बना लेते हैं। कैसे हैं जनाब, 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 लाइफ कैसी गुजर रही है? मैंने कहा आप लोगों की थोड़ी राय ली जाए, राय लेके आप लोगों को थोड़ा सा राय ली जाए, क्या हाल है, कैसी ज़िंदगी गुजर रही है, कैसी लाइफ गुजर रही है। तो राय लेने के लिए मैंने कहा आप लोग थोड़ा सा आप लोगों से बातचीत की जाए। बातचीत 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 की जाए। ये देखें आप हमारी गुटबाजी, ये जा रही हैं। अरे ये थोड़ा सा हम वीडियो बना रहे हैं। ये देखें ये जा रही हैं। कमरे में आ गए हम, कमरे की वीडियोस बना रहे हैं। गर्मी हो रही है भाई, गर्मी के मौसम है तो गर्मी तो होगी, गर्मी हो रही है इसलिए वजह से गर्मी की वीडियोस बना रहे हैं। भाई मुझे जाना है तो नहीं खुद जाएं। नहीं गर्मी हो रही है। नहीं भाई कैसे हैं आप लोग? सब खैर है, सब खैरियत होगा, खैरियत से रहें। उम्मीद करता हूँ आप लोग खैरियत से होंगे और सब सेट चल रहा होगा, सब सेट चल रहा होगा। ज़िंदगी गुजर रही होगी, लाइफ गुजर रही होगी, तो ज़िंदगी को ज़रा करके गुजारें। ज़िंदगी तो गुजारने की चीज़ है दोस्तों, गुजर जाती है। ज़िंदगी को ज़रा हंस खेल के गुजार लें, हंस खेल के गुजारना चाहिए ज़िंदगी को, लाइफ को। हंस खेल के गुजारिए। ज़िंदगी की यही ख्वाहिशें होती हैं, यही सलाहियतें होती हैं, हंस खेल के गुजार लो। गुजर जाती है ये ज़िंदगी के मौसम, ये ज़िंदगी की बहारें, ये ज़िंदगी है दोस्तों। ज़िंदगी को हमेशा